What's up and welcome back. I am here to do some Emmy predicting. Obviously, I did some Oscar predicting, so we'll see how the Emmy predicting goes. They're actually a lot easier to predict. So click that subscribe button so that I can give you all the hot details for any sort of tournaments or uh, work Emmy pool that you've got going on. I got the deets. So let's get in on this. Yes, blind people can figure out what's going on with award shows too, especially the Emmys. It's very frustrating. Once you accept it, and let it wash over you, and you just throw your personal feelings about shows out, it's very easy. So what you need to know about Emmy voters straight up is they're incredibly predictable. And this is going to be best drama series. I'm going to start off with a big category, a big swing. I'm not going to make you wait until the end for the big swing. This is me putting putting it all out there. I'm very cocky and confident on this. Just flopping it out. This is number one. Succession. There's no way this isn't getting nominated. If you don't have this in your top 8, stop predicting things. Just please stop. Just quit. Just stop everything. Just if you're not if you don't have Succession in your top 8, give up. That's my advice for you. It's probably gonna win. I would be shocked if it didn't. It came at the perfect time. I shouldn't even have to explain why Succession is getting nominated. It had a series finale in May. That's the end of the eligibility period. It's like being released right at the end of Oscar season. I mean, sometimes timing is everything, and Succession could not have had better timing. So, yes, Succession is number 1. Number 2 is a show that also finished this past Emmy season. However, it did not have great timing. It did not. It kind of had shitty timing, and it's actually never won an Emmy Award. However, it is very good at getting nominated for them. It's been nominated for a ton of awards over the years. It just can't win any of them. So I predict it for nominations, just not for wins. And that's Better Call Saul from AMC. Better Call Saul is basically guaranteed a solid lock. It's its final season. I don't see how it wouldn't get nominated. The only pain in the ass running against it is it came out like last July, so it doesn't have the benefit. Some shows, when they do that, when they come back around, what happens is that they put their next season in the same time period, so that way you get a refresher course. It worked out really well for Only Murders in the Building, which had its first season going into its second season, but its second season was going at the same time people were supposed to be voting on the first season, which is why it has such like a strong showing with its first season's nominations. Made sure it wasn't forgotten. It was in the current lexicon. People were talking about it, and the same thing's probably going to happen this season with at least Only Murders and probably The Bear. They're going to get talked about because they have their next season's coming right around the same voting period. So, yeah, Better Call Saul doesn't have that advantage. That's the only thing that's working against it, is that people don't have the benefit of watching the new season. So they just got to remember how good they liked the final one, which everybody did like it. So, number 3 on my list it's moved up a lot, but this is not really because I think it's going to win the category. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's going to win. I don't think Showtime has the ability to campaign a winner. They've not really proven that. They've had a little bit of a difficulty over the years trying to get shows even nominated. Certain shows that just feel like they should have Emmy buzz, like Billions, end up never being nominated. So, but luckily for them, Yellow Jackets is a phenomenon. So it's a critical darling, and I think it's going to stick in. I think Yellow Jackets is the kind of show, too, that once the top two are gone and out of consideration next year, Yellow Jackets could really open up in its third season if it has a strong third season. So it could be the kind of thing that as long as they keep supporting the creative team, this could be something that rewards them down the line and really break new ground for Showtime in terms of nominations, in terms of wins. So I think Yellow Jackets is lock also. Number 4 on my list. I usually go with, obviously the 3 previous shows I listed were all nominated before. My number 4 choice is actually a first-time nominee. First time it's eligible. We had a lot of kind of big series premieres over the past TV year. One of them was the most recent. One of them also gained with every single episode. One of them had more of an audience with every single episode. And that show, I think, has the best shot of any of the new series of getting a nomination. And that show is The Last of Us. As I've said before, HBO knows how to work this. They know how to get their shows nominated. And The Last of Us has gotten a ton of attention. This is a big swing. It's a video game adaptation. However, the Emmy voters did embrace The Walking Dead at the very beginning. So just because it's got zombies and it's a horror series doesn't mean Emmy voters aren't going to open up the doors for The Last of Us at the very beginning. How many seasons they're willing to open up The Last of Us, they've proven to be kind of on the fence with genre television. So it gets kind of hard in later seasons to figure out, are they still watching this? Walking Dead, I think, had got some nominations for like the first 2 seasons and then just fell off. Like once Frank Darabont was out, they were like, well, nice knowing you. So yeah, it's I think The Last of Us is a lock for this spot. It's too popular. It was too big of a show. It's too much of a phenomenon. I don't see how it can't be nominated. So that's 4 spots given away. My 5th spot is actually also going to go to another new show that I think really can't go unnoticed, and it's also another HBO show. HBO gets the nominations, guys. They really do. It's just like watching studios and how they can get nominations. I think House of the Dragon is going to get a nomination too. Game of Thrones proved to be incredibly popular with Emmy voters, and that's the correlation that I'm looking for here, is what do I think Emmy voters are watching? With something like the Lord of the Rings series, I have nothing to base it off of that Emmy voters watched it or liked it. But with Game of Thrones being a previous Emmy winner and having won so many acting awards and getting so many nominations over the years, I think it's really just a pretty safe bet to go with House of the Dragon. I don't think it's a lock. There were a lot of shows that dropped, a lot of new shows. I could see House of the Dragon being a big surprise snub. It did drop last fall, as did a couple of other shows. And there are a lot of genre shows. And Emmy voters are not known for nominating genre shows. And all of a sudden they're getting tons of genre shows being thrown at them. And it's not something they're usually into. So, we shall see. But I'm hedging my bets on House of the Dragon right now. In 6th place, I'm going with a safer bet. And that's The Handmaid's Tale from Hulu. Hulu's managed to get Handmaid's Tale just a shit ton of nominations over the years and a couple wins. The last time Handmaid's Tale was up for nomination, it got it, and it got a ton of supporting nominations, like all throughout. I even remember like getting a bunch of supporting actor nominations for people that I didn't think were ever going to get nominated. Like Max Minghella character got nominated. It's okay. You know, I mean, like that was the last time Handmaids was up, so there's no reason to believe that it's going to go from like the most nominations it received to like the least. I think this is still a solid bet. It's only got like 1 season left, so you know, keep keep betting on Handmaid's Tale, I guess. Especially in this climate, I think people are more inclined to vote for a show like The Handmaid's Tale that is very fight the power, and keep it up there. Then we come down to number 7, and number 7 is basically a slot holder, because I don't think both these shows can get nominated. I don't think they both will get nominated. And so we have a problem. Which show cancels one out? Which show gets the nomination? Which show's getting the votes? And the question is, are you voting for Andor or are you voting for The Mandalorian? The Mandalorian has been nominated here before. It's now in its 3rd season. And Andor, this will be its first time up. Now, Andor has been racking up a lot of really interesting nominations. I believe it was up for a Peabody. And that signals to me that it's got a little bit more critical praise behind it than I think even The Mandalorian did in its first season. The Mandalorian was more of a phenomenon than it was necessarily looked as being quality storytelling. Andor is getting kind of a different level of praise, at least in its first season. It's only a 2-season show from what I understand, so they don't have a whole lot of opportunities to nominate it. But I do think that this year Andor is going to end up taking this spot away from The Mandalorian. I'm actually betting on the new show. They've proven that they do watch the Star Wars shows by nominating The Mandalorian. And this is a tough one too, because you could very well choose The Mandalorian. It has the better release date. Andor released last fall. The Mandalorian released in the spring. So The Mandalorian is more fresh in people's minds than Andor. It's very possible. It's also possible that the two could cancel each other out. That if there's enough vote splitting, that this spot just goes away entirely, and then neither of them get nominated. But I have to address the Star Wars issue, and for me, I'm going with Andor. It's not the show that I would vote for, but it is the show that I think is going to get the nomination. So what do I pick for my final spot? Let's talk about what I didn't pick for my final spot first. I'll start with the elephant in the room, and that's Yellowstone. I know we keep trying to make Yellowstone happen, and I'm giving up. I'm just flat out giving up. Maybe that means it finally gets nominated, but every year we go through this. Every single year. Everybody sits down and we all go, oh my God, this is the year. This is the year. Kevin Costner, he won the Golden Globe. They can't not nominate him. It's too big. The show is too big. It is too big, guys. It's just insane. It's the final season of Yellowstone. There's no way it's not getting nominated. Nobody gives a shit. These viewers, they don't nominate Taylor Sheridan things. They don't nominate Yellowstone. We keep acting like they do. They do not. They prove time and time again that it doesn't matter what Taylor Sheridan or how popular he is or how popular the Yellowstone universe is or who's watching it or who's tweeting about it or anything. Emmy voters could not give 2 fucks less. So I'm pulling Yellowstone. I'm not doing it. I'm not. I had it in there last year. I thought last year too. I was in that boat. I was there. I was like, Yellowstone, it's going to happen. Kelly Riley's finally going to get that nomination that she's been deserving for like 4 years. Short of kidnapping every single Emmy voter and forcing them to binge watch Yellowstone, I don't really know what else to do. Because I don't think they watch it. I just do not think they watch that show. I think every single Emmy voter just goes, ugh, and like vomits when they see it. And like we think for some reason they're watching it. But they've given us no indication that they've watched Yellowstone. So it's not happening. Sorry. It's never happening. That'll just be one of the shows that later on when people make those shows about top 10 shows that were never nominated for an Emmy. Just be Yellowstone. Yeah, so it's not getting in. I'm also not betting on Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. It didn't necessarily get the best reviews and the best like audience reception, so banking on it just feels weird. I know feels like I'm leaving Amazon out, but That's because Amazon keeps premiering a lot of sci-fi shows, and it makes it kind of hard to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what did we got here? What are they gonna pick? Like The Peripheral? Like, I don't know. Like Citadel? Like what? Reacher. I don't know. Like what do you think, Jack Ryan? Like their shows don't necessarily lend themselves to being like obvious choices for nominations. So you have to wait for something to be a big cultural phenomenon coming out of Amazon. And I think that happens with Maisel. It's a critical darling and a cultural phenomenon at the same time. I don't know if it happened for Lord of the Rings. We'll see. I think Lord of the Rings came at the same time where we had Sandman, we had House of the Dragon, we had Andor, it's just, there was a lot of stuff going on. And it's been a minute. And it's not like they're going to drop the second season of Lord of the Rings over the summer. So I think Lord of the Rings is going to miss out. Another show I'm betting against is Netflix. I'm betting against Netflix, basically, with The Diplomat and Sandman. I don't think I don't think The Diplomat is strong enough. I don't know. Netflix releases a lot of dramas, and it's hard to necessarily say that one has really truly broken through. Obviously, like Stranger Things has. It's a cultural phenomenon. But I don't know that you can say that about The Diplomat. I think it was interesting. I think it got people's attention. But for Best Drama Series, I don't know that it did what it needed to do to suddenly break into the top 8. I actually think The Sandman had a better shot, and I would be less surprised to see The Sandman in the final 8. I think it definitely swung for the fences a little bit more. The problem is that there's a lot of genre television, and it opened in the fall, and it's never been nominated, and we don't really know. Did they watch it? That's the problem with picking a new show, is that you have to be committed to the idea that Emmy voters watched it. And I don't know that they did. There's also, a bunch of other shows that you could talk about here, like Bel Air, Peacock. Peacock as a streaming service has had a really hard time getting nominations. I know they're trying this year with Poker Face. There's a huge push behind Poker Face. If it doesn't happen for Poker Face, I don't know what to tell Peacock, because then it's just them as a service. And this is a category where I'd love to see them take a risk and do something with, I don't know, For All Mankind, or obviously Apple had some other shows this year that, I liked Dear Edward. It got canceled. Apparently no one else did. So that's gone. The network struggled to get anything nominated here, and with This Is Us gone from the race, there's nothing else. There really isn't a drama on network television that I feel like could take this spot. So the one drama that I will acknowledge has the possibility to upset the one that I picked is The Crown. I did leave The Crown off. The Crown is in my, spoiler, 9th place spot. And the reason why is because this last season of The Crown really seemed to divide people. Even the nominations are all over the place, like where they have actors being considered for certain categories, where they're being submitted. Like Dominic West is being submitted for lead actor, but Elizabeth Debicki is being submitted for supporting actress. It just doesn't make sense to me. The whole season felt like it was about Charles and Diana. Why is Charles in lead and Diana in supporting? It just doesn't feel right to me. It feels weird. And then Imelda Staunton is probably, we've been here twice before with 2 other Elizabeths. Yeah, I think she's going to get nominated, but I don't know that the same hype is there in season 5 to make sure that we get make sure Imelda gets her win. And Jonathan Pryce, it's like 2 other people played that character before. I don't know that it has necessarily the same backing. Other voting bodies that have had the opportunity to nominate it, like the Golden Globes, have been also kind of like, we might pick some other things. Like, we might throw out a couple nominations, and then we'll kind of just... So, anyway, for Best Series, for my 8th spot, I actually went with The Boys. The Boys did get nominated for the last time it was up in this category, and that could be a fluke, or it could be the fact that they still watch The Boys. And that's the question. And I think The Boys had a great 3rd season, and I think it really kind of brought everything together with Jensen Ackles' storyline and Soldier Boy. I think we saw a really interesting, compelling season. I think it was very different. I think we saw things in that season that we never thought we were ever going to see in television, and I think it made itself memorable. So, I think it's possible that The Boys has fans, and enough fans that will continue to vote for it. It's a show that I don't think went down. So I've got The Boys, where I think people enjoyed the most recent season, and I've got The Crown, where I think people were like, about the final season. I'm going to go with The Boys. So those are my top 8 choices. I'll be back with nominations in other categories later on. But that 8th spot, you can kind of do with whatever you want. Just whatever vibe you're feeling. If you're feeling Lord of the Rings, go with Lord of the Rings. If you're feeling Sandman, go with Sandman. I don't think that 8th spot is a lock by any means. I'm just picking the show that's been nominated before. And between the two, between The Boys and The Crown, I just think that there's a better case for The Boys. So that's all it is. But the other 7 are, I feel pretty solid on. And you can keep checking back here to see what else I feel pretty solid on in other categories. It's Emmy season. It's upon us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will catch you guys on the other side.